Hey there, guys, and welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. This is it. Don't get scared. Now let's talk about some movies, and we will talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. But first, actually, I lied to you. I want to talk about this very, very quickly. I recently received the Steelbook 4K version of one of my favorite Tarantino films. Actually, one of my favorite films of all time. It's Pulp Fiction 4K, the Steelbook. This is a sexy, sleek Steelbook. It's a little bit minimalistic in a way, but I like it. It's glossy. You have the Jack Rabbit Slim's burger and the $5 shake back there, and John Travolta and Uma Thurman on the dance floor. But yeah, real quick, I'll open this up, and then you have the discs in there. But I will say this, I haven't watched this on 4K yet. I'm sort of like savoring the flavor because I just watched Pulp Fiction like 2 weeks ago on HBO Max. So I haven't looked at the resolution or the quality of this 4K yet. I've heard it's pretty good. But yeah, awesome Steelbook. I think this comes out December 6th, and you can get it at Best Buy. So if you haven't already, pre-order it, check it out. I'm a big fan of this. I've been waiting for this for a long time on 4K. There's also some other Tarantino movies I wish that would hit 4K, but I did do a brand new Black Friday Flick Trip video. If you missed that, go check that shit out right now. I did buy Inglourious Bastards, another Tarantino flick. I will say the picture quality on that 4K is a little bit hit or miss, to say the least. But nevertheless, I didn't own the Blu-ray, so the 4K will have to do. But yeah, if you haven't watched the new Black Friday Flick Trip video, go watch it right now. After this live stream, you have to stay here until we're done, and then go watch it. Please don't leave me. I'm scared. All right, guys, let's dive into the questions here. And how are you guys doing? What is new with you guys? And it's the last day of November. On to December we go. We just put up our Christmas tree the other day, and I'm feeling festive. I'm feeling a bit festive. I think it's time to watch Home Alone every day until Christmas. That's what I'm going to do. Something about watching a small child just nearly murder two intruders. Something about that it just screams Christmas to me. I don't know why. All right, let's dive into it. We got one here from Jalen Martin. Hey, John, I was just wondering your Q&A video for 2015. I was just watching your Q&A video from 2015. Well, thank you. You no longer have to go back. Just stay here. We'll do more Q&A questions right now, live. David Goldstein. Hey, how's it going, David? When will you work with Stuckman again? Probably never. That is, that's it. That's the answer. The White Skull says, I don't have any questions for you, though I love you. Well, I love you too. Well, thank you for that. The next one comes from Carter Lovejoy. How's it going, Carter? How are you? Fun fact, when Disney acquired Miramax in 1993, the first film greenlit under the Mouse's ownership was Pulp Fiction. That technically makes Mia Wallace a Disney princess, laugh out loud. Well, what does that make the gimp down in the pawn shop? I mean, I know the gimp was slightly evil and villainous, but I feel like at one time, the gimp could have been anyone. And I'm going to tell you this right now. At some point in another Tarantino film, the gimp that was in the pawn shop of Pulp Fiction should get a prequel film. What is he doing? I'm not quite sure. He could be played by Ryan Reynolds or something. I mean, anything's possible. But how does he come to be the gimp that lives in a cage in the basement of a pawn shop? These are things I need to know. These are the things I think about every time I close my eyes when I go to sleep at night. And hopefully one day we get that. And also, I'll tell you another thing. On the front cover of the Steelbook, they should have just put the gimp right there. I'm just putting it there. Some creepy dude in a leather gimp mask. That'll sell 1 million copies instantaneously. But if you want to see the Gimp prequel film directed by Tarantino, let me know. Or actually, let him know. I know he's going to make one more movie. I think it should be called The Gimp. How the Gimp Came to Be. That's $1 million idea. All right, let's keep going here. And by the way, I want to make sure I didn't miss anyone's stuff here. Okay, there we go. How's it going with you, Chris? How's it going with you, Dan? Hey, Tony. Hey, Toon Talks. Hey, Rob K. Yes, reaction to the Cocaine Bear trailer. I haven't watched the trailer yet. The poster was enough to get me amped up. I will say that. The fact that they're making a movie about a bear who ingests cocaine and goes on a rampage, well, that's truly intriguing. That is called cinema, everyone. And I'm hoping the missed opportunity here is it should be Nicolas Cage should star in this movie, but as the bear. I don't know. I haven't watched the trailer yet. I shared the poster the other day. I'm going to check that out. It's directed by Elizabeth Banks, who directed, what was the last movie she directed? Full Throttle or whatever it was. Charlie's Angels, yes. She directed that. And that kind of made me lose a little bit of hope or faith in her as a director, but hopefully she redeems herself in Cocaine Bear. All right, the next one comes from Landon Thompson. What part of your body would you be willing to surgically remove in order to watch Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4? To be honest with you, after Spider-Man 3 and Sam Raimi directing it, I know there was a lot of studio interference, and I know that's not exactly the vision he had for the film, but I think at this point in time, I don't really need a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. But then again, thinking about it for 5 seconds there, catching up with Tobey now as a middle-aged man who has a family, and he's his glory days are a little bit behind him, and he's trying to like schedule, soccer practice with the kids and going home and spending quality time with his wife, and also being Spider-Man. That in itself could be interesting, actually, because I guess we're sort of like, haven't we had enough of college, high school college, high school Peter Parker trying to juggle school life and being a Spider-Man, so now he can just juggle home life and a midlife crisis and be Spider-Man. The most interesting aspect of all that is the midlife crisis. I can relate to that. Do I wear tight spandex suits around the house? Yes, I do. Do I occasionally shoot my web? Yes, take that how you will. But the midlife crisis Spider-Man, I would like to watch that. So yes, I would like to see a Spider-Man 4. To answer your question, what part would I have surgically removed? I don't know. I kind of need everything. Maybe like 3 centimeters of my left pinky toe. We don't really need that. As human beings, we are evolving not to need our pinky toes. We don't really need them. So, but I still like having it. Don't get me wrong. Don't try to take it from me. All right, the next one comes from Carter Lovejoy. I already answered this. Faisal H says, did you just wake up? Your face is tired. Well, thanks for that, Dick. No, I did take a shower. Maybe I'm just tired of life. I don't know what it is. Here. There. Am I awake now? I'm going to talk in a monotone voice the rest of the live stream. You want me to do this as I talk? Here, I'll be super excited content creator for everyone with my eyebrows raised up, and I'll talk about Marvel movies. All right, let's go to the next one here, who says, Matthew Castellanos. John, I've been wondering, because you never talk about this movie, but are you a fan of The Green Mile? I watched it this year. What an amazing movie. I've talked about The Green Mile probably 83 times, maybe 183 times over the course of my YouTube career. I literally show it in my Black Friday Flick Trip video from 2 days ago. I hold up the Blu-ray that's on 4K. I put it on the shelf back there. Yes, I like The Green Mile. I like John Coffey. I like that Tom Hanks in the film has a kidney infection. I like Wild Bill. I like that he screams, he's cooking now. I like all of those things. Yes, I love The Green Mile. Patrick Flickinger. Great name. John, do you have multiple sources of income, or does YouTube make you as rich as me? How often do you work out? That is a lot of questions. Multiple sources of income all relate to YouTube. So you have affiliate avenues. You have Facebook started paying me bonuses. Instagram occasionally pays me a bonus. I have 2 channels. I do sponsorships. I do the live shows. I have a backlog of a whole bunch of videos that have existed on YouTube for the last 12 years. That's usually what I do. What else? You had another. Oh, how often do I work? I worked out yesterday. I went to the gym for the first time in about a month yesterday, and it felt really good because I felt like I was withering away. And then I got a really good pump, and I could feel the veins and vascularity slowly rising to the top of my biceps once again, and I felt instantly alive. But the thing I realized most about the gym yesterday was I just hate people. It got to a point where I was walking around looking for a machine to work out because I was working out. I wanted to do triceps, right? Triceps. Who does triceps? No one. But I walked around looking for a machine to use for about 10 minutes. And every time I came across a machine, it was like some 13-year-old kid on his phone, like long stringy hair and an earring in his ear. And he was sitting there texting. And I just like, at one point I just like stood over him for like 5 minutes staring at him. And eventually like he did one set and got up and left. But yeah, I do like working out. Yeah, it's fun. I don't think I love it as much as I once did, because I feel like at one point in life, like I climbed the mountaintop, got to the peak, flexed my biceps, looked around and said, oh, muscle mass, that's cool. What do you do with that? Nothing. And then I climbed back down the mountain and said, I did it. But yeah, I do occasionally like going. The only reason I go to the gym anymore is, one, to listen to epic metal music, because there's not really many outlets in life to do that, and lift heavy things and make weird faces. And two, what is the second reason I go to the gym? To keep my body proportionate to my giant head. That is really why I'm still going to the gym. All right. Jurassic World Dominion is the best movie. It is. Jurassic World Dominion's a great movie, guys. It really is. It's phenomenal. You know, it's like really the outline that every big franchise should follow. Jurassic World Dominion. When you don't know what else to put in your movie, make a subplot about giant killer locusts. That'll bring in the cash. Hey, John, I just watched your last live show today while cleaning my place. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for listening to that. You know what? I came to the realization, or at least the conclusion, I should start calling these podcast, because YouTube likes the term podcast. And I think, and I don't know for certainty, but I've heard rumors floating around that YouTube is going to start sort of a podcast / network, so you can upload your podcast directly to YouTube. And not have to go to 8 other places to listen to it, which would be great. So yeah, I might start calling these podcasts. I mean, technically they are podcasts. You can either watch them, or I guess you could close your eyes and listen to them, whatever you want to do. But yeah, well, thanks for that though. I hope your house got really clean. I hope I had a helping hand in sweeping your floor with you. All right, the next one comes from Seth Hall. Hey, John, it's been a while since I joined one of these. Keep doing what you do. You're awesome. Well, thank you, Seth. Thank you for the generous super chat. Much appreciated, man. Thank you for that. I'll keep doing them. I'll tell you this, guys. If I don't ever make another edited video on YouTube again, rest assured I will still do live shows forever. I truly enjoy doing these. I put a lot of thought into how much I enjoy doing these. I feel like doing live shows made me enjoy talking about movies more, because it got to a point where I was sitting in front of a camera alone, and I'm not alone anymore. You guys are here. And I was like, wow, this is just kind of boring. It's like, this movie, and I'll do a jump cut here, and then I'll do another jump cut, and here's my 5-minute video, and I just shit it out. And it just didn't feel as fulfilling as it once did. And live streams made me like YouTube way more than I used to. So I want to thank you guys for watching the live streams, and they're a good time. The next one comes from JB. Ever see Down? It's on Prime, starring Naomi Watts before she blew up in 2001. It's bad acting like The Room. It's a great cast, but funny / bad. Down? No, I have not seen Down. I typically don't go out of my way to watch really bad movies. Sometimes intentionally, well, not intentionally. I think The Room was intentionally supposed to be good. But I don't go out of my way to just watch bad movies. It just feels like such a waste of life sometimes. I would watch a clip or two from the movie, to be honest with you. I feel like that would be fulfilling enough. But I haven't seen it. Zach Keel says, what streaming device do you use? I just bought a new Apple TV 4K, and I'm pretty excited to try it out. Yeah, I've never used Apple TV. We just use Fire Sticks. They're easy, they're simple. I always get the 4K, the best version of the Fire Stick that has the highest capacity to transfer data. and the best Wi-Fi connection. That's typically what I use. I'll tell you one thing though. Smart TVs and their connectivity with Wi-Fi are truly atrocious, especially in 2022. I don't know why they cheap out on this aspect of smart TVs. Maybe they just know you're going to plug some other shit into their overpriced TV. But I have an LG TV. It's brand new in the other room, very expensive TV. And because I have 5G internet, my TV disconnects from it every 10 seconds. And I hate it. So I have to use a Fire Stick with that TV or else it will not work. Azim the Dream Reviews says, "Hey Johnny, have you seen any Jeff Goldblum gangster slash mobster movies such as Deep Cover and Mad Dog Time?" How many gangster movies has Jeff Goldblum been in, man? I didn't know. I couldn't even think of a role he's been in where he plays a gangster, but you named two. And I don't think I have seen him. Also, I loved your JP Shoes video. By the way, your Jurassic hoodie will be stolen when you go to sleep tonight because I couldn't find one on Reebok. Yeah, I think they stopped making that hoodie last year, but thank you for the compliment on the Jurassic Park video. I like talking about Jurassic Park shoes. I don't care. I actually have the shoes back there and I wear them occasionally. So thanks for watching that though. You know what I want to start doing on this channel more, guys? And by the way, thanks to all 223 of you in here looking at my stupid face right now. But what I want to start doing on this channel more is I want to start doing more random reviews of things. Like today I talked about Jurassic Park shoes, but I want to do reviews on like TVs, projectors, projection screens, random little things that I occasionally use. I don't know. Like, and not every video is going to be 25 minutes long. Some of them might be like 3 minutes long. It just depends what I have to talk about. But there's like so many little things I use every day. And I'm like, I either love this or I hate this. And I feel like I need to share that with you guys. So occasionally I might do quick little review videos of products. If you want to see that, let me know. If you don't want to see it, well, I'm going to post them anyway. You don't have to watch them. But I might start doing those a little more often on this channel. The next one comes from Majestic Beast. "My big problem with John Wick sequels is somehow making in New York part of his secret assassin organization. It takes me out of the movies." Yes. Yeah, the big building in New York, that's where all the assassins hang out. It's like no one's ever noticed that big building and said, what do they do there? I just wonder. It's just a hotel? Okay. I notice everyone's paying with these big gold coins. What's that about? What are they doing? Yeah, I think the John Wick movies were best kept simplified. And really, when it comes to I think it was the last John Wick movie or the one before that. I don't remember at this point. I think it was the last one. It was definitely John Wick 3. I was really hoping that the overall storyline of that was going to be almost like Escape from New York, but with John Wick trying to escape this city environment with all these different people coming after him. Almost think of it this way. Think of something like the movie The Warriors with John Wick trying to get to a safe place. And out of the woodwork comes all these different variations of assassins. That would have been an awesome movie to me. But they don't really do that. You know, he goes off into the desert and talks to Holly Berry or some bullshit. And then I'm like, what is this movie? This isn't the movie I wanted to see. But yeah, those are my thoughts on John Wick 3. I don't think that was your question, but thank you nevertheless. The next one comes from Zach Keel. How's it going, Zach? "I got The Shawshank Redemption, Edge of Tomorrow, Dune, Bohemian Rhapsody, all in 4K Black Friday from Best Buy. Can't wait for the Top Gun Steelbook that I won." Absolutely, man. Hey, Zach. By the way, Zach, you did win. I have your movies here, Zach. I did a giveaway on Facebook. Zach, I have some good and bad news. The steelbook that I was going to give you, I cannot locate. Zach, but to make up for it, I was going to send you like 3 different movies. Now, I do have the Top Gun Steelbook here, the first movie. It's this Steelbook, though. Then I was going to send you E.T. As a joke, I was going to send you Fast 9. But I could not locate that Steelbook. I looked high and low, man. So let me know if you want those movies or something else. All right. But thanks, Zach. I'm shipping them out. I was gonna message you and see what you actually wanted to replace it. But thank you, nevertheless, Zach. Some good pickups too, man. Bruce Cook says, if Jurassic World Dominion is a good movie, so is Independence Day Resurgence. Yeah, they're both great movies. I think those are both great sequels. I think when I watch movies like that, I think to myself, the level of creativity and craftsmanship is still alive and well in Hollywood today. And these are the sequels that we have been clamoring for 20 years, right? And these studio executives who are super creative and know what people want, they gave it to us. And by the way, Universal, I hope my fucking check is in the mail. All right, let's go to the next one. Matthew Castellona says, John, what are some movie franchises you will show your kids? Mine will be Star Wars, the MCU. I'll show my kids like half of the MCU movies. I'm not going to waste their young adult lives on trash. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter series, the Dark Knight trilogy, and Indiana Jones. Those are all pretty great trilogies or series or franchises. I'll definitely show them like Back to the Future. That's a must. You got to show your kids Back to the Future, Star Wars. I want to show my kids the movies I grew up with, and I know this is going to sound like almost like I don't know. I don't know if this is healthy, but I grew up with movies like Point Break, Terminator 2: Judgment Day, 80s comedies like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, John Hughes movies like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, The Breakfast Club, Point Break. You know, those are the types of movies I grew up with. So yeah, I'll definitely show. I want my kids to be very well versed and well rounded when it comes to cinema. You know, I don't want them just to grow up and be exposed to like MCU movies, especially like newer MCU movies, because they won't comprehend what like real movies are. They'll be like, oh, that's content with superheroes and CG. I'm like, no, that's not a movie. That is content. Okay, that's not a movie. So, and my other fear is when I have kids, God forbid, but what if they don't like movies? And then will I like them? What are we going to have in common? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, you did name some must-haves or must-watch movies. Like Roadhouse. You got to show your kids Roadhouse, at least at the age of 6 years old. Sam Likes Game says, Road to Perdition or Collateral. Oh, I'm going to go Collateral all day long. Road to Perdition is a nice looking movie. It's definitely worth a watch. Rewatchability, yeah. I just rather watch Tom Cruise being a badass hitman cruising the streets of LA at nighttime. That movie speaks to me in so many ways, and I still vividly remember seeing it in theaters when it first came out, and I've loved it since. And the thing about Collateral was like the early days of using digital cameras, and it's at a time where digital cameras looked grainy as shit. Like not good grainy, like good. They look digital, like digital soft graininess to them. Yeah, the early days of digital cameras were kind of like yuck. They had a gross look to them, but they've since advanced. But yeah, I love Collateral. I have it on 4K back there. Probably one of my favorite Tom Cruise performances of all time. By the way, I'm getting a little dehydrated. Let me open this up. Is your new girlfriend a YouTuber, or does she work a typical 9 to 5? She's has a normal job. She teaches the youth of the upcoming generations. The next one comes from... Oh, come on. All right. Okay, the next one comes from James Dosher, who has been a member for 13 months. Yay! Hey, John, what's new? Great question. What is new? I'm trying to think here. I'll tell you a few things that are new with me. I ate Chipotle yesterday. Delicious. I bought some Christmas lights from Costco that I needed to put up, but I couldn't do it today because it was way too windy out. It was like 80 miles. Okay, that's an exaggeration. It was like 30-mile-per-hour gust of winds, and I was like, I'm not standing on my roof for that shit. No, thank you. So that's what's new with me, man. And I just figured I'd talk to you guys tonight. So not much. The next one comes from Double Chief. What are your thoughts on Alexander Payne, Sideways, and The Descendants are two of my all-time favorites. I've watched Sideways once on streaming. It was okay. Like, I don't ever want to watch it again. I will say there's some good performances, but the thing I always recall about Sideways is that is the most seen DVD in all pawn shops and physical media stores I've ever noticed in my life. Like, every time I've ever went into a pawn shop, there was like 3,000 copies of Sideways where it had like the green logo with the little bottle. I remember it vividly. I always remember just seeing it. It's like you can clearly tell everyone watched that movie once and sold that shit instantly. Alexander Payne, I have thoughts on Alexander Payne. Alexander Payne. Why do I not know what Alexander Payne is? Alexander Payne sounds like a WWE wrestler. Oh, the director. Okay. Did he direct Constantine? Let's see. Known for... The Descendants, Nebraska election. He directed... Okay, did he direct Election? I didn't think he directed Election. Let's see. Election, 1999. He did. He directed Election. Okay. For some reason, I didn't know he directed that. By the way, speaking of election and pick Flick, which is the saying that Tracy Flick, who's running for candidacy of a high school, says, might have been an influence on my channel name, just saying, but go watch Election, one of the most underrated movies of all time. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I've always thought about Election being like the distant sequel to Ferris Bueller's Day Off in a weird way. Like, and you can look at it like this. Ferris Bueller's Day Off was about a young kid with his whole life ahead of him. And then you can go into Election, where it's about a middle-aged man with his whole life behind him who gets into some crazy shit and then has to start a new life. In a weird way, they're almost like eerily similar with each other. But anyway, that's my recommendation to you. Go watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off and immediately go watch the movie Election. And just in your own head, pretend that's Ferris Bueller in Election. It'll change everything. So yeah, speaking of the director, I like him. The next one comes from... Just wanted to say thank you for being you. Too many fake, phony, simping channels out there that try too hard. Always appreciate your honesty. Well, thanks. Thanks, Michael. I try to be honest as I can. I try to be nice as I can until it's time not to be nice. That's a great saying for the movie Roadhouse. Just saying. I try to keep it real, man. I think I've gotten to a point in the last year or two of my life where I was like, why do I not feel as passionate as I once was? And I had a lot of like internal dialogue with myself, a lot of soul searching. And I said, do I have a passion for movies? I was like, yeah, I still like movies. Do I have a passion for like making videos that can be creative? Yeah, I still have that. What it was what I came to the conclusion of, a lot of movies nowadays are just fluff. And then like I see people on YouTube praising fluff, and I don't know if they genuinely like it or if they lack taste, or maybe they're like inept to what quality is, or maybe they're just trying to get views and clicks. That's the thing that's the crossroads I came to in life. But yeah, the live streams brought me back. So thank you for that. The next one comes from Mike Peter. Hey, how's it going, Mike? John, why do movies today not hit the same as films from the 90s and early 2000s? I get way more excited watching an old movie I've seen 1,000 times rather than seeing whatever the current big movie is. Yeah, the thing is, old films, they speak to you. They speak to multiple people in different ways. That is the brilliance of older films. There's a message for every generation. There's a message for every type of person. I mean, not every type of person, but a wide variety of people. And we find solace in this. We find something relaxing. We find something that resonates in our soul when we watch these classic movies that tell a real story. And older films, or not even older films, I would say a lot of movies, not as often as they should, because we're bombarded with a lot of movies that are just filler And going back to the thing about Hollywood needs to make content. You see, everyone has attention deficit disorder. That's why we swipe on TikTok for 7 hours a day. We don't really get any fulfillment out of this. We just need to swipe. We need to look at something and swipe to forget about how dark and sad reality really is. But the point is, we used to get stories were told to us, right? There was craftsmanship, there was quality, and nowadays there's like a checklist. It's like, okay, you gotta have a fucking superhero in your movie. Check. He's gotta wear spandex. Check. We have to have this. We have to cater to every different demographic while actually catering to no one. It's like the thing with movies today is they're trying to appease everyone, and at the same time, they don't really appease anyone, right? I think that's the problem. I would say that's the problem. But then again, it's just like, I look at movies like, and I see someone commented it again. Someone, like, we'll take Jurassic World Dominion, for example, right? It's like, you'd have to go out of your way to make a worse sequel with as much money as they had for that film. They had everything working for them. They had the entire cast of the original. They had an unlimited budget. They had unlimited marketing. They had unlimited like technology and craftsmanship. And that's what we got. It all goes back to the screenplay. And for some odd reason, Hollywood is inept to what is a good story anymore. Like, think about this. Hollywood executives sat around and said, oh, killer fucking locusts? Steve Jobs? That's what the people want to see it. I would love to be in that pitch meeting and see the look on their faces and why that got made. You know what? I want an apology, damn it. Anyway. And don't get me started on Universal. I like some of their movies, but them as a studio and being a YouTuber, they're not very nice to us. I will say that. I remember years ago, someone said Hollywood's out of touch. Absolutely. Or maybe they're too in touch. They're in touch with the wrong people. And the people who complain the most are the same people who never fucking go see movies. They're just people that have Twitter accounts. But they don't actually leave their house to go see movies. They don't do that. No. They stay on Twitter and they follow whatever trend can get them more followers by complaining and joining cult-like groups of hate. The next one comes from, I'm sorry to be so negative. I'm not trying to be. You asked me what's wrong with Hollywood, and we had to go down that dark path for about 10 minutes. But I'm going back to my story here about Universal. I remember like 2 years ago, they gave me a copyright claim on a video that had a Jurassic Park dinosaur on the thumbnail. And that's when I said, I probably won't review Universal movies anymore. Like, just because. And if I do, it'll just be me here yapping with no images. And because I say, like, Jurassic Park, they'll probably give me a copyright claim. That's just how they are. It's wrong, and I wish YouTube would fix it. Claudia Rogajon says, ever watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? Overrated in my opinion. Yeah, you know what? I don't completely disagree with you. It's one of those movies, I like it. I like the buddy team-up movies. I like most Shane Black films. I like me some Val Kilmer and Robert Downey, but man, yeah, it's one of those films that I never had a strong desire to rewatch over and over again. It's definitely worth a watch. I think it's a good movie, but it's not like people who say they love it. My question to them is, would you put that in your top 50 movies of all time? And if you can, that's cool. I mean, I have shitty movies in my top 50, but yeah, I was never in love with it like some people were. Zach Keel says, I enjoy Fast 9. I'll gladly take those movies. Okay, Zach, they're yours, man. I'll ship them to you. I know you don't live far, so I mean, if you wanted to, I saw that you lived like across town on your address. I could just drop them off in your mailbox if you really wanted to, Zach. I'm just putting it out there, man. But I'll ship them out to you in like a day or two, within 2 days. Bruce Cook says, John, Independence Day Resurgence was total garbage. Liked your sarcasm, though. Thank you for that. I have a review talking about Independence Day Resurgence, and that's like another sequel I remember watching vividly in theaters And I was super excited. If you talk to anyone who wanted to see an Independence Day sequel, it was this guy right here, I assure you. And would you like to hear a fun story about Independence Day resurgence? Let me tell you a story. I'm just going to tell it to you anyway. So back in 2015, when the first trailer for Independence Day Resurgence came out, I think it might have come out right in the beginning of 2016. But either way, the network on YouTube I was with at the time reached out to me and they're like, hey, would you like to premiere the first ever online trailer of Independence Day Resurgence? And I was like, really? I was like, you want to do that? They're like, yeah, basically what we want to do is just find someone who's a fan of Independence Day that has a movie channel and sort of just like let them leak the trailer out and see what happens. I was like, that's a brilliant idea. So after like a week or two of going back and forth, I guess they decided not to go that route, but that would have been pretty fucking awesome. So shitty movie, but that would have been cool. And if you'd ever like to hear the story of how I once talked about Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish and how it made me lose a sponsorship, I can tell you that story at a later time. All right, the next one. The next one comes from James Dozier. Which movie from 1994 would you pick as the best movie? Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, or The Shawshank Redemption? I pick Pulp Fiction. That is one of the most difficult questions I've ever been asked, and I hate it for multiple reasons because all of those movies I love and I relate to them in different ways or find so much joy in watching all of them for different reasons. And I would watch all of those films at different times, right? So I feel like overall, if you want to watch the least depressing movie, I would probably say it's like Forrest Gump. In a way, it is sort of depressing if you want to look at it from this story or the narrative of Jenny was a dirty whore who used dirty needles and was a drug addict and probably gave Forrest Gump hepatitis or HIV, and then thus giving it to her son at one point when she gave birth to him, and then Forrest has the burden of watching this child that she just refused to tell Forrest Gump about for multiple years, but she came back every time he had some money and she wanted some comfort. But beyond that, Forrest Gump is one of my favorite movies of all time, man. If you could put 20 great films that I like comedy, drama, action, war movies, all in a blender and mash it up and pour it out, you would get a big cup of Forrest Gump. And I would drink that big cup of Forrest Gump as long as Ginny wasn't in there because I don't want whatever venereal disease she had in that big cup of Forrest Gump. But I would drink it. It would be delicious. But then, what was the question? Oh yeah, going to Pulp Fiction. I just watched it the other day. I watch that movie once a year. Phenomenal. And then Shawshank Redemption, I could arguably say is one of the best movies of all time, if not maybe the best movie of all time. But as far as rewatchability goes, they're all very high. But I might have to say, as far as like technology, storytelling, memorability, like quotability, remembering it, taking you on this lifelong journey that just gives you 87,000 different emotions and doesn't completely depress you if you don't think about it the way I just mentioned, maybe Forrest Gump. Then I'm going to pick Shawshank, and then I'm going to pick Pulp Fiction. And I'll tell you the thing about Pulp Fiction is it's not my favorite Tarantino movie, so that's why it would come in third on there. Is it my top 20 of all time? I don't know. Maybe. It could be. So I hope I answered your question, and I hope that was fulfilling. And did I talk about drinking a big cup of Forrest Gump? Yes, I did. Now the next one comes from Feasty Manx 1313. Hey John, what are your top movies of 2022? You're just gonna have to wait till my top 10 of 2022 comes out to see those. I will just say in the top right, I'll tell you this right now. I'll tell you guys the story in a second. I'll tell you the foot fetish story. I know it sounds weird. Didn't Jenny die of AIDS? No, it's rumored that she died of hepatitis, Hep C. But the way that, like in the book, that's how she dies. But if you look up the disease, it doesn't kill you as quickly as she died from it. So I have theories on other things. But going back to your question here, there was one movie I wanted to see, and I was supposed to go to a screening yesterday, and I'm so mad I didn't make it. But it was just like 3 hours away, and it was really cold out yesterday, and I was feeling a little bit tired. I was going to see The Whale yesterday, the screening of it, and I wanted to see it. I just couldn't get around to getting there. But so once I see The Whale, in late December, I can make my top 10 of 2022. That's like the last movie I'll need to see at that point. So right now, it's like the Batman, and I will say Top Gun Maverick are definitely in there. But I'm hoping that Avatar: Way of the Water makes it, and maybe The Whale. All right, let's keep going here. Jalen Martin, does your girlfriend live with you? Yes. She even sleeps in the same bed as me. I know, it's crazy. All right, let me answer this question here, and we got one here. We got one here from Claudia Rogajan. How did you lose the sponsorship with Pulp or not? How did you lose the sponsorship by talking about Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish? Okay, I'll tell you now. So I originally put out a movie review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I loved the movie. I praised it. I will still praise it to this day. It's probably my top 3 Tarantino films of all time. I watch it once every 6 months. Love the movie. I know people have complaints and issues with it. I still stand by it. I love the camaraderie between Cliff Booth and Rick Dalton. And I relate very much to Rick Dalton. If I was an actor in Hollywood in the 1960s, I think I would be like a Rick Dalton. Just putting it out there. So as far as me losing my sponsorship by reviewing that movie, at one point in my review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I talk about Tarantino liking feet. And I don't think that's any mystery, and I don't think that's a secret, because in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you see blatantly feet on the screen for about a solid 20 minutes of the movie. You have Margot Robbie's feet. You have the young actress who's a hippie in Hollywood. Her dirty little feet are right in the middle of the frame of the camera for like 5 minutes. It's not the first time Tarantino has showed feet, and that's okay. I'm cool with that. Hey, that's your thing, man. Go for it. It's just feet. Who am I to judge? So, once the Blu-ray of that film was coming out, the studio were looking for people who talked about movies and Blu-rays specifically, and I've been doing that for 10 years. They wanted me to talk about the 4K of the movie. And I was like, absolutely, I'll talk about it. I'll do a review. I'll talk about the picture quality. I'll talk about the bonus features. I'll do like a re-review of the movie. Absolutely. And they're like, awesome. Here's what they had to do, though, to get approval from the people they selected to talk about it, the YouTube creators. They had to go to Quentin Tarantino and they had to show him the people's movie reviews of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He had to personally approve each one of these videos. So the person I was working with at the marketing company, they told me that, and I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't thinking about it. Then they came back to me the next day and they're like, Tarantino didn't approve of the video, though we think it's great and funny. We'll have to reach out to you again with another opportunity. And at the time when they said that, I was like, wait, what happened there? I was like, the video, I like gave the movie an A+. And then I went back and watched the video, and knowing that he had to watch that video, I was like, oh shit, he probably took offense to that. So anyway, that's the story of how I lost the sponsorship from Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, it's small world, isn't it? Hey, John, what do you think do you think the black phone is overrated? The black phone, I wish they would have answered why the phone rings with a little boy voice on the other end. Like, I get like there's some kind of weird magic or something. I wish it was maybe explained, but I did like it overall. I think it borrowed a lot of narrative from Silence of the Lambs. I could explain that further if you'd like, but okay, the next one. Let's go quicker on the questions here. Michael Parton says, I just turned 25 today. Well, happy birthday, Michael. Happy birthday to you. Go blow out some candles and eat some Mississippi mud pie. So have a great happy birthday, man. And yeah, you got your whole life ahead of you. Or at least another 15 years until you hit an existential midlife crisis. But enjoy it while you can. All right, the next one comes from Azim the Dream Reviews. Johnny, isn't it amazing? Even though The Lost World and Fallen Kingdom are technically considered darker movies in the franchise, the horror in the original Jurassic Park is on a whole other level. The book is truly rated R. We need rated R Jurassic Park. I don't even think we need Jurassic. I mean, yes. Would I like a rated R Jurassic Park? Yes. Would I like to see dinosaurs eat people in half and see the blood guts spill out all over the place? Yes. But I think most importantly, what we need with these giant dinosaurs eating people with is a good storyline that makes us care about the giant dinosaurs eating people. Like, if you want to tone down the gore, that's cool. Give me a competently well-made story like the first film, and I would even go so far as to say the second film had. So yeah, that's all we need. You just need good stories. You need a good plot. That's all we're asking for. Chad Hogan, thoughts on Chris Hemsworth not wanting to work with Taika again. I agree with him 100%. We need an R-rated Thor. Robert Eggers, man, I think that would be some dark shit. I could dig that. Imagine a Ridley Scott directed Thor film, like good version of Ridley Scott, not like the shitty version of Ridley Scott, but the good one. That could be pretty awesome. Yeah, I dig it. Yeah, we definitely need the last Taika Waititi one. I think Marvel or the MCU, they need to just tone the comedy back. You're catering to 7-year-old kids, and I get that. Like, they are going to be a fan base that you want to have go to your movies. Absolutely. Children, if kids want to see it, the adults have to take them. Now you sell a ticket to the kid, you sell a ticket to the adult. It makes sense. I get it. But sometimes when you tone it when you make it so idiotic, now you're sort of like bastardizing a certain demographic of people who want a little bit of substance in their movies and not a Saturday morning cartoon. And let's not forget, the kids don't have money for this shit. It's because of the parents and the adults that things actually get sold and bought. So the last Thor movie was sort of like the last nail in the coffin for me when it comes to like the MCU movies. I was like, that's everything wrong with this. It's like Thor Ragnarok. Okay, it was funny. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It has a lot of rewatchability, but the second one was just like a tone-deaf, generic mess of a movie that felt rushed and choppy. So yeah, I agree. Anyone would be a better director at this point. And I don't think Taika Waititi's humor is that funny. I really don't. Like, I think he was the worst. Like, when it comes to the movie, what was it? The Other Guy. What is it called? The Other Guy? The Ryan Reynolds movie where he plays an NPC character. Other Guy? Was that it? Anyway, the worst part of that movie was Taika Waititi's cameo. Every time he talked, I was like, please just stop. I can't listen to this. You're a cartoon character. You're not real. All right. The next one comes from Shut Up Cat Productions. What do you want for Xmas this year? I would like the Capcom versus Marvel arcade 1-up machine. So Santa Claus, if you're listening, I will leave you cookies. I will leave you fresh, delicious almond milk. And please bring that for me. That's what I would like. Favorite color? My favorite color is probably, it depends, right? I like blue. I like gray. If I'm going to paint a wall of a house, it'll probably be gray. At one time it was blue. Would you get pegged? See, these are the three questions you should ask everyone when you first meet them. For the right price. And last, but certainly the last question you had here, what would you do during a zombie apocalypse? I can tell you I wouldn't be pegged. But what would I do? I would go to all my neighbors' houses and I would tie them up, cannibalize them, steal all of their food and firearms, and build a fortress, a barbed wire around my house, and I would walk on my roof every day guarding it with multiple firearms and shotguns, wearing a cowboy hat and a pair of assless leather chaps. That's what I would do during the zombie apocalypse. That is the honest answer. And I would eat cans of ravioli every day. That is what I would do. What would you guys do during the zombie apocalypse? I'm just keeping it real with you guys. All right. Bakatir. And by the way, if you're one of my neighbors and you watch this, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Bakatir says, I just rewatched Legion. The scene with the elderly woman has me tilted. What scenes gave you nightmares in recent memory? Also, glad to see you. Glad to see you too, man. I do remember the scene with the old woman. Doesn't she like just start screaming or something and running? Terrifying shit. I'll tell you a few scenes that have always sort of captivated me or terrified me since I was a kid. And it's always just the oddest, small little scenes. Whenever they have a certain level of realism to them, that's what's terrifying to me. So I'll go back to Nightmare on Elm Street. And I know I said a certain level of realism, but I'll explain what I'm talking about. There's a scene in Nightmare on Elm Street where Freddy is running down an alleyway where he has his arms extended like this, and then he just starts running after this girl in this alleyway into her backyard. And something about that, just like you can tell, they just filmed that. They just had a guy stand out there and run after her. But that's what's scary about it. It feels real to a certain degree. And like every time I've ever been in an alleyway at nighttime, I always think of that scene. So that's one scene that's always stuck with me. Morbius is the worst movie of 2022. It's either the worst movie of 2022 or maybe the best movie of 2022. You could take it either way. Why don't you get yoked again? Like when you looked like, you didn't say what I looked like, a giant baked potato that looked like they wanted to pop. Not a good look. This is a better look. Having a neck is a better look. Not being all veiny is a better look, to a certain degree. There's a little, I got a little, look at that. Don't let this wide angle lens fool you guys. I still got it here. If you saw me with a pump in a gym, you would say, okay, this guy works out every day. But you're looking at me in a Back to the Future t-shirt right now, So I'll probably never get as big as I was because I just don't want to. Like it's too much work for a result that I don't like the way it looks anymore. I've never seen you look better, John. Well, thank you for that. Yeah. I look younger now than I did 5 years ago. That's the weird thing about it. The next one comes from Michael Tellez. And by the way, guys, I'm about 20 minutes behind on the question, so I will start talking faster. Thoughts on Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Also, Strange Days. Okay, let's talk about the first one. I liked it. I saw that movie months after it originally came out. I watched it over at a friend's house. We both really enjoyed it, and we both agreed that Hollywood needs to make more movies like this. Is it the most rewatchable film? No, but it was different and fun and memorable, and I would like more movies like that. Strange Days is kind of a weird movie that no one talks about. And going into it, I thought I would like it more because it's directed by Catherine Bigelow, who directed Point Break, which is one of my favorite movies. And it's also produced by James Cameron. But man, Strange Days, it had like a cool concept, but it suffers from mid-90s futuristic lacklusterness. If that's a made-up term, but I'm going to use it. There was something about movies made in the mid-90s that were supposed to be futuristic that felt instantly dated and just felt like 90s movies with like 90s technology in them. You guys know what I'm talking about? There's like a slew of like, what was the movie with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe? Like it was a really shitty futuristic movie. And then you had like Johnny Mnemonic. Yeah, just a lot of weird 90s movies that were supposed to be like 30 years in the future. Like movies that got it right were like Demolition Man. It was funny. But Strange Days, watch it once in your life, but it was sort of forgettable. Patrice, oh, sorry, you had one more part of your question here, and let me answer it. Oh. Did you finish The Boys show? Have you ever watched Justified? I've never watched Justified, and I did not finish The Boys. I got halfway through the season, and something about it just was not driving me to finish it. Virtuosity. Yes, that's the movie I was talking about. Absolutely. Virtuosity. Just a product of 1995, man. Okay, we got one here from Patrice Chaswick. How's it going, Patrice? Just did my Black Friday 4K trip. Good haul. No true lies yet, though. When making a movie, when do you think they know they have struck gold? Casino Royale, for instance, from script to final edit, at what point do they go, yes, we did it? Man, I don't know. That's a tough one to say. I would say maybe like halfway through production, you can look at the performances and sort of the story. And nowadays, when it comes to filmmaking, they're editing that movie as they go. Typically speaking, they are editing scenes days after they film them to get them aligned with the rest of the scenes so they can save time. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know when you know what's more important? At what point in a bad movie do they look at it and go, ooh, we fucked up? And I'll tell you what point that was in Jurassic World Dominion. It's when they introduced those locusts. That's when they went, oh shit. Martin says, hey John, thoughts on Tarantino saying Marvel stars aren't actual movie stars? Well, you have to understand, and I did listen to the podcast in its entirety. What he was saying was name recognition is dying because what's happening is, like we talked about, comic book movies are the movies that make the most money. And most kids go see comic book movies and they go, Captain America, Thor. No one says, oh, Captain Marvel. They're not saying, ooh, Chris Hemsworth. They're not going because of the marquee name up there. Like some people are. That entice some people to see it. But like younger generations, they don't give a shit about name recognition anymore. It's just the truth of it. I mean, there's like 5 stars who have name recognition to a certain degree that can make you, that'll either kind of entice you to give the movie a chance or not give it a chance at all. Like if I see a movie with Nicolas Cage's name attached to it, I'm going to check out the trailer. It's either going to be terrible and I'm going to watch it, or it's going to be great and I'm going to watch it because Nicolas Cage. But now it's just like the genre of superheroes are what sells these movies. It doesn't matter the name. It just matters if Captain America's in the movie. I think that was the point. And that's a fair statement, I think. Someone said, oh, this is a great one. Yeah, man. You guys are talking to each other, but I'm reading it. Yeah, man. Man on Fire gives me a headache. Yeah. I'll tell you something about Man on Fire. That's when Ridley Scott, or I'm sorry, not Ridley Scott. What's the brother's name? Tony Scott. That's when Tony Scott lost his damn mind. And he's like, you know what I'm going to start doing in my movies? I'm going to crank up the contrast to 3,000%. I'm going to crank up the saturation to 9,000%. I'm going to have weird slow motion, like dreamlike, jumpy, weird frame rate sequences every 10 minutes. And I'm just going to do that. Terrible cinematography and terrible filmmaking. You can say what you want about like the screenplay of the movie, but his directing style got in the way of the story. And it was like the worst thing he could ever do. Like Tony Scott, before he passed away, just the style of his films, I hated them. They were like it was just like this fad that needed to instantly go away. Someone said Michael Scott. Yeah, no, he didn't own the paper company. This guy was the director. The next one comes from Michael Parton. Since Dominion made $1 billion, I demand they bring back Jaws. That's my birthday wish. Do you want the studio to bring back Jaws? You trust a modern day studio to do a remake of Jaws, or even a sequel, like a modern retelling of it, or whatever you want to do. You trust them to do that? I don't know about that, man. The fact that they put locusts into a dinosaur movie makes me think they would put crabs into a Jaws movie. Like Jaws goes up against the killer clan of crabs. Could you imagine that shit? That sounds like actually, that could be a good movie. It could be. It could be the worst movie ever made, but I want to see it. Jim Fox says, have you seen Barbarian? It's pretty solid. Have you seen my review of Barbarian? It's pretty solid too. Yeah, I liked it. I had some issues, but I have a review for it, man. I feel like no one sees my videos anymore. Like I feel like YouTube doesn't show you my videos, but that's okay. As long as you can see me now, I guess that's all that matters. The next one comes from Val. Hey Val, how's it going? Because you got Inglourious Bastards on 4K, are you going to rewatch it soon? It's remarkable. Yeah, I remember the movie pretty vividly. I'll probably watch it again soon. I'm in the mood to watch it. And also, I want to see what all the clamoring about the bad transfer of the 4K is. I need to see how bad that transfer is so I can put my 2 cents on it. But yeah, I'm going to watch it soon. I think maybe tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to watch Pulp Fiction. I just want to see how good this 4K looks. And the way I'm going to judge that is I'm going to go to HBO Max. I'm going to watch the streaming version or part of it. Then I'm going to put this in and watch it. And then maybe I'll put the Blu-ray in and watch that too and give it a real comparison. That could make a good video. I'll think about it. Claudia Rojan. Oh, already answered that. Michael Parton says, exciting news. I heard from James Gunn he may be working on Kingdom Come for the DCU. I like me some James Gunn, but after you watched Suicide Squad, did that like make you lose a little faith in him as a director? I don't, to me it did. I'm just putting it out there. Like maybe not as a director, but as far as like telling a story or a screenplay goes, it made me a little hesitant on James Gunn. That's just me. I think he's talented. I don't know. That last Suicide Squad movie kind of scared me going forward with James Gunn. MKF30 says T2 versus the Predator versus Aliens. Best of those. The 3 movies are like them actually fighting each other in like a gladiator arena. Because I'm probably going to give it to the Predator in that situation. Is that what you're referring to or just the movies? Because T2 is my favorite of all time. Then I would probably go with the first Predator movie, and then I would go with like I actually enjoy Aliens more than Alien, as far as like rewatchability goes. But like for like if you could erase my brain and my memory and have me rewatch the first Alien again, I'd probably really enjoy it. But for me, it's like once the cat's out of the bag, it's like a lot of that mystery and that suspense that I had going for it sort of dwindles just a little bit. The next one comes from Faisal H. John, did you see the new Ultimate 4K Steelbook for The Dark Knight? The artwork is so sexy. Get me that one, please. I did not. But I already own The Dark Knight on 4K, so to rebuy it just for the 4K Steelbook, I don't know about that. Maybe if it was like $10, I would consider it. I'm trying not to rebuy the same shit over and over again. Movies for Life says, I saw Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio in theaters before it hits Netflix. It's excellent. I highly recommend it. It's my favorite movie of 2022 so far. That is interesting you said that, man. I am intrigued to see it. I'm hoping it's good. Something about the story of Pinocchio. It's just like been there, done that. And after that last Pinocchio movie that came out, which was a Robert Zemeckis movie, I was like, why was this made? Why did they feel the urge to make this? I guess Disney Plus just wanted to spend $100 million and make some more content people watch once on their streaming service. But I don't know. I'm glad you say that. That's good to hear. I'm definitely interested in watching it. It's just odd to me that we're still getting Pinocchio movies. Like, I don't know. Just call me crazy. Samuel Thomas says, Tom Cruise came back as Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder. Oh, you want him to come back as Les Grossman? Yes, please. Yes, that would be great. I will take that. You know, the first time I saw Tropic Thunder, I didn't know. First of all, I'll tell you a true story. The first time I saw the trailer for Tropic Thunder, I didn't know that was Robert Downey Jr. in the movie. I was like, that guy looks familiar. But he did such a good imitation. I didn't know it was Robert Downey Jr. until I watched the movie. Azim the Dream Review says, Johnny, did you see Jurassic World Dominion with Matthew Brando? No, we live in different states, so I did not see it with him. But yeah, I didn't see it with him. You say he praised the movie on his podcast, did he? That's surprising. I'm glad he enjoyed it. But yeah, he lives in, I think he lives in Tennessee now. So, Claudia Rogajon says the Jurassic Park book literally opens with a kid with a giant gash on his back from a velociraptor and him throwing up blood. It's hardcore. Well, shit, yeah. That's a good opening scene. Absolutely. Always open your movie with a child death. Just putting it out there. Obed Orzaga says, have you watched the new Lamborghini movie? I have not. Or is it streaming or is it at theaters? I have not seen it. Claudia Rogajon says, you ever seen Gummo? Looks gross. Yeah, Gummo is disgusting. I can't eat when I watch the movie Gummo. If you've never seen it, I'm not even going to recommend you watch it. Just watch a few clips of it on YouTube, and that might be fulfilling enough for you. At one point, there's a kid eating spaghetti in a bathtub. At another point, that same kid goes down in his basement and starts doing bicep curls with like spoons taped up, like silverware, like 5 spoons taped up. He starts curling it. It's a bizarre, weird movie. So yeah, I have seen it. I don't want to see it again. I'm glad I did, but I wouldn't recommend it. Your armpit's sweaty. Fuck yeah, it's sweaty. I'm working hard over here. Real men sweat. Claudia Rojan says, did you only bulk up so you could surpass Tom Hardy's weight in The Dark Knight Rises? I remember you saying that in 2015. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to see if I could. And it's one of those things like, when I'm really intrigued by something or interested in it, I will do it 100%. And once I achieve that goal, I'm just like, yeah, I did it. I'm done. Like, to continue doing that exact same thing forever, it doesn't intrigue me. It's like, I like to conquer each thing. And once I do it, I'm like, yeah, I did it. I'm good. To a certain degree. But yeah, I weighed more than Tom Hardy did. I know I was taller than him. So technically, I like to say I was bigger than Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. All right. The Swifty says, what's the best pre and post-workout meals, man? Well, when it comes to pre-workout meals, it really depends. I mean, for me, I always like to carb up a little bit because having a lot of carbs in your system gave you a much better pump in the gym. And I was all about the pump. I chased the pump in the gym, as Arnold would say. So I like to eat like oatmeal. I would drink like a very, very small protein shake just to get a little something in there. And I would drink like as much water as I could. And I would do all that at least an hour to an hour and a half before hitting the gym. Also, another good pre-workout meal was I would always eat like a wrap with chicken in it and some veggies in there. And anything that had sodium in it before going to the gym also gave you a nice, delicious, glorious, magical, mystical pump. Those were always my go-tos before the gym. And I, of course, drink some like pre-workout with caffeine. After the workout, I would always chug a protein shake or a smoothie and then try to eat like a meal, like a healthy, clean meal, and try to get more protein in there. Also, another thing you can do when you go to the gym is make sure you eat something with some glycogen in it, which is good for your muscles. So like something that has a lot of glycogen in it and carbs would be gummy bears. You can eat like a few gummy bears before going to the gym if you know you're going there to do like an intense workout. If you're going to the gym to like lose weight and cut weight, don't necessarily take the advice I'm giving you, but I was trying to build muscle and get a big fucking pump, okay? That's what I was trying to do. So yeah, those are a few recommendations. Shut Up Cat Production says, thanks for... oh, I'll do it again. Shut Up Cat Production... Shut Up Cat... See? Damn it! Shut Up Cat Production... I'm going to take a drink of this and start over. Thanks for stuttering my name. You predicted the future there. Have you seen Planet of Terror? This is the end. You wrap your tool. Worst director working today. If zombie war, I'm ending it. That was a lot of crazy questions you try to cram in there, man. And they scared me. Planet Terror, it was an okay one watch. When it comes to the Grindhouse movies, the best things in between those were the Grindhouse trailers. This is the end. I watched once. I would never watch again. Worst director working today? Jesus, where do you start with that? There's a lot of bad directors working today. I mean, but at what scale do you say they're like? I would say the worst director working right now who keeps cranking out not good movies is probably Michael Bay. And that's coming from a guy who likes the first Transformers movie and The Island and The Rock. I love I like Armageddon. But currently working today, when it comes to like big budgets with name recognition, who gets handed these big franchises of multi-million dollar movies, it's probably Michael Bay. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody else, but that's the one that comes to mind currently. In my opinion, Michael Bay is not a director who's evolved in the last 25 years. He's de-evolving. You know, he's like getting worse as he goes. Chad Hagen says, John, you can't read. I can read, I assure you. It's just the way everything is typed in here. People abbreviate their questions. They have 8 questions and then they abbreviate some of their words down into, like, there's like a 6-letter word and people abbreviate it down into 3 letters. And I'm trying to like be Rain Man, figuring out what you're getting at. So yeah, that's why sometimes I'm like, it's like trying to read some kind of weird Latin scribbled on a wall of a cave 5,000 years ago. It's like, I can't quite make out what it says, but I'm going to guess. Chad Hagen says, The Martian or Ford versus Ferrari. Probably The Martian. I think it's way more interesting and fascinating. Something about Ford v Ferrari. It was a like interesting movie, but it felt so like glossed over for masses to watch. It just felt like this sort of instantly forgettable movie for me. Like, I enjoyed watching it, but like going back and revisiting it for the story that it had to tell, I would have liked it to be a little more like gritty, like a little bit more grittiness to it. And it felt very commercialized. And then it sounds like I'm so pretentious describing it that way, but I just feel like it wasn't exactly the tone I wanted it to be. Like, the concept was intriguing, though. Michael Tala says, best year for movies? Mine is 2007. 2007, best year for movies is probably 1999. I mean, 1999, I think, overall, conclusively speaking, was the best year ever for movies. I mean, 1994 was good. Some great movies. But 1999 had way more variety. So, I mean, I think you got to go with 1999. Overall, best year for movies. Claudia Rogajon says, what do you actually think of Man on Fire as a film? I talked about that. I like the concept of this guy trying to save this little girl that was kidnapped. I think it's a great premise. It's a good movie, but it's like trying to watch a good story with someone shining bright lights in your face and looking at it through like cellophane. It's like you can kind of see what's happening there. This is really distracting, but I'm trying to make out the story, and that's what it feels like watching Man on Fire. It's just the filmmaking style that Tony Scott used was just insufferable to look at. It's like watching something while tripping out on ecstasy or something. It's like that's what it felt like watching that movie. Val says, The Patriot is quite enjoyable. Thoughts? Oh, I love me some Patriot. Matter of factly, The Patriot is in my top 20 movies of all time. There, I said it. That's a badass movie. You gotta love if you don't love The Patriot, go watch it again and give it another chance. If you can't appreciate the brutality and the relationship and the performances by Mel Gibson and Heath Ledger in that film, I don't know what you're doing here. Okay, so The Patriot's a great movie. I think it's underrated. If you want an epic wartime time period movie, The Patriot all day. I actually think I enjoy The Patriot more than I do Braveheart. Michael Parton says, I'm happy with Walter Hamada left. He also promoted Ezra. Did he promote Ezra? We're talking about the guy who's in charge of the DCEU, right? I honestly, I don't even keep up with it at this point. Nothing they say will change my mind. If you want to prove something to me, with the DCEU. I feel like I got something on my shirt. If you want to prove something to me with the DCEU, how about you put out a good quality movie? All right, let's start there. And then we'll talk about things later. Like, first, just give me that. That's what I'm waiting for. All right. We got one here from Front Page Tech. How's it going, my buddy John? By the way, if you guys haven't checked out Front Page Tech and you like tech news, specifically talking about iPhones and smartphones and all kinds of cool shit like that, go watch his channel. It's way better than mine. Look at this loser. Here's money. Well, thanks, John. I'll take it. You can insult me for a price. I'll just put that out there, everyone. You can say whatever you want to me, and I'll read it, no matter how degrading it is, for a right price. But thanks, John. Thank you for that. I take back everything I said about your fucking channel, all right? No, I don't. It's a good channel. Check it out. John's a nice guy. Kyle says, yo, John, random question. Do you play Turok on N64 back in the day? I did. And at first, that was the... Let me tell you something about Turok the game. It is the most confusing game. You don't know where to go. You have no clue what to do. I mean, sure, you kill dinosaurs and climb cliffs and shit. But that was the most confusing game ever. Especially Turok, I think it was 2. I got halfway through the game and I didn't know where to go. I was like, for like 2 weeks, me and my friend tried to beat the game. And you got to keep in mind, this was before the days of like watching YouTube tutorials. Like you had to figure this shit out at 3 o'clock in the morning as a stupid kid. And I remember like for a week, we tried to like figure out where to go, the next checkpoint, and we just couldn't do it. So yeah, I played Turok. I love it and I hate it at the same time. The next one here comes from Franco Barrera. How's it going, Franco? Thanks for the super chat, man. No question, but thank you, Franco. How are you doing, man? What's new with you? But very generous super chat. Thank you. Thank you, guys, so much. Thank you for that. And I will tell you this. I need it more now than ever because that internet bill's due tomorrow and I'm getting poor. So thank you, guys. It means a lot. Thank you. Thank you for coming here for this mild form of entertainment. Bucketeer says, is Quentin and Samuel having a beef? Not that I know of, are they? Nico Lord says, my dad made me watch The Patriot. I need to go back and see it again. Mel Gibson was hella sexy back then. Well, I never thought of Mel Gibson as sexy. I did think of him as manly. I will say that. But yeah, you should go watch The Patriot again, man. Because Mel Gibson's hella sexy in that. John, put yourself on the meat market. No, thank you. Actually, I would. I will. At one point, when I lose, when I completely run out of shit to talk about, I'll put myself on the meat market. How's that? JJ Bear says, are you a fan of Harold and Kumar? Not really. Those movies to me, like I get it, they're a stoner comedy movie, but like they try too hard to be funny. I'd much rather watch something like Dazed and Confused for something like a stoner movie. The next one comes from Uncle Gary. Do you feel men are being emasculated in modern day society? Do you believe comments from Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate about men becoming mentally and emotionally weaker to be true? I mean, to a certain degree, society does want to soften everyone. But, you know, there's such a thing as like toxic male masculinity to a certain degree. But sometimes that term's thrown around when it shouldn't be used. But you'd have to give me a specific example. You know, do some people say, oh, a man being aggressive and muscular and heroic, you know, is that toxic male masculinity? No, I don't believe so. I believe that's just a stereotype that exists for a reason. You know, so I do get what you're saying. I know that's an argument and a thing that people say, but do I truly believe in it? No. Do I think there's sort of an agenda? Sometimes, yes. You know, sometimes. And the thing is, though, it's if you're talking specifically about movies, we've had female heroes saving the day and kicking ass with men on the sidelines for decades in cinema. It's existed. You know, look at Ripley from Alien. That's a woman. Badass chick saves the day. So I just feel like people, it's almost, they turn a blind eye when they need to make a point. But when you just stop and think about it for 5 seconds, everything they're using to back up their nonsensical point is it's dumb. So did I answer? I think I answered the question. Maybe I did. I don't know. Franco Barrera. Oh, we already answered the question there. The Rat Party says, "Hey John, thoughts on the new M. Night trailer, Knock at the Cabin?" I have not watched the trailer for the new M. Night movie, Knock at the Cabin. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't go out of my way to watch trailers on YouTube when they drop. I don't like to do it. To keep it real with you, I really don't like it. I'd rather just be in the cinema and the trailer surprises me, or just watch the movie. I try to avoid trailers these days unless I can't, you know? So that's really, yeah, I just try to avoid most trailers. We got one here from Franco. How's it going, Franco? Let me answer this because you gave a very generous super chat, and here's your question, which I think you probably meant to put on the super chat, but something happened. Okay, here we go from Franco. How do you feel about Batman Forever? I think Val Kilmer was very underrated Batman and a great Bruce Wayne. The way I look at the Batman Forever movie is it felt like a very surface level experience that happened to have Batman in it. And no matter how great of a performance Val Kilmer would give in that film, you still have to remember he's in a Joel Schumacher Batman movie. So when you see him giving like a decent performance as Batman, it's sort of like overshadowed by like the shitty neon blue or pink hair lighting, and then Chris O'Donnell standing behind him with nipples. And then, you know, in the opening scene, you have the one guy who goes, "Oh no, boiling acid!" You know, so things like that sort of like overshadow decent performances. I like Val Kilmer. I think he was a sufficient Batman for that movie. But for me, those movies just, they feel very surface level. And even as a kid, I remember thinking to myself, like, ooh, okay, well, I sort of like was hoping this would be more like Batman Returns in tone. Just thinking like this new tone of Batman movies felt childish. Not to say I wasn't entertained by them, but I just never had the love for them like I did the Keaton Batman movies. And then I later found that love once again with the Nolan trilogy, but that's my opinion on Val Kilmer's Batman. Dr. Sick Evil says, "Hey, John, how's it going? This is my favorite YouTube channel." Well, thank you for that. I'll take that compliment, even if you don't mean it. But thank you. I watch it pretty much every day. Did you check out Minari or Blue Velvet yet? I did not check out Blue Velvet yet, but I did check out Minari. And the thing about that film was, it was nominated for Best Picture of the Year, right? And I thought it was enjoyable, but I think it was highly overrated. I thought the concept was cool. I liked the time period. I liked that it's focusing on this Asian American family, and I like that they live in like the middle of nowhere and like some like trailer. I like things like that are great. I love things like that. But as far as like the overall story, halfway through it, I was like, ooh, this isn't going to be like a classic I was hoping it would be. I enjoyed it, but yeah, a one-time watch for me. If you like classic 70s and 80s vibe movies, have a twisted humor, you'll enjoy Blue Velvet. Yeah, that's what I've heard, man. It's just one of those movies in the back burner I'm trying to get to. But thank you for the question. Front Page Tech, we already answered that glorious super chat question. Thank you, man, once again. Max Neugenbauer says, "I seriously think Michael Bay is awesome. Pain and Gain is his only film that sucks." Max, I like you, Max. You're here all the time. You ask a lot of questions, and I can respect your opinion. But I'm going to disagree with it because Michael Bay's made a lot of shit bombs over the years. Have you seen a movie called Pearl Harbor? I wouldn't even say Pain and Gain was one of his worst movies. There's like redeeming qualities in Pain and Gain. Don't get me wrong, it's a piece of shit. But I sort of enjoy Mark Wahlberg in the movie and the aspect of working out. I enjoy those things. But Ambulance, to me, was an atrocious abomination, waste of digital space in filmmaking. What a waste of Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, the ending to that movie made me cringe. Like, everything about it, as far as like character logic goes, it felt like it was written by a child. That's just his newest movie. Now, do you want to talk about the 8 other Transformers movies that he's directed? I don't have time for that. So yeah, Michael Bay. Shut Up Cat Productions says, say my name 3 times real fast. Shut Up Cat Productions, Shut Up Cat Productions, Shut Up Cat Productions. There you go. I almost had an aneurysm doing it. Also, Toy Boat Unique New York. Have you ever been in a toxic relationship? Favorite car? Toxic relationships, not toxic per se, just some of them that you know it's over and you're sort of stuck in a situation that you can't escape because of logistical reasons. Those are always the worst ones. You kind of feel like you're in prison a little bit mentally. So yeah, I've been in a few of those. Night King 01 says, Flickster, just watched the movie Mr. Nice Guy. The Jackie Chan in Australia with even more ridiculous acting and badass ending. I have never seen Mr. Nice Guy, man. Never seen it. Love me some Jackie Chan, though. Darth Bree Boy says, hey, John, watching you since 2012, I was wondering if you had any Blu-ray or 4K disc rot in your collection. Sadly, it is a common problem for me. Where do you keep your movies? In like a moldy basement with 300% humidity? I don't think I've had any disc rot on any of my movies. I just keep them in the case and I keep them up on the shelf. I mean, I could maybe there's one old Blu-ray back there that I never watch anymore that has some disc rot on it, but I don't think so. Not that I know of. I have not ever noticed it in my collection, but I know it's a thing. I think what's happening is sometimes people touch the discs with like really like what happens is some people like eat chicken nuggets from McDonald's and they get greasy hands and then they like take their Blu-ray disc and they lick it and they put it back in the case or something. Maybe that's happening. Potted Plant Entertainment says, thoughts on Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. A movie I think maybe I saw when I was like maybe high school or something. I never got back to seeing it again. I know it's a classic. It's just not a classic that resonated with me, but maybe I should go back and rewatch it. Claudia Rogajon says, you think the new animated TMNT will be any good? Maybe, but when it comes to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I would love to see a live action movie with some practical effects. I mean, if they can make the effects look as good as they did in the first movie back in 1990, 91, then why can't you do that today? Like, I think audiences would love to see the animatronic practical effect suits from the Ninja Turtles. Like, think what you could really do with that. Like, dark comedy, action movie, that could do very well. But as far as like an animated movie goes, it doesn't really speak to me. Will I check it out? Yeah, but I'm not. It's not like one of my most anticipated movies to see. A lot of Michael Bay talk over there in the chat. Chris says, John, do you feel the element of free speech exists? And what do you think of Twitter's new boss? I'm going to be honest with you. Twitter, I've never really cared about Twitter. I thought it was a scary place to go to. And at one point I just said, you know what? I'm just going to talk about like my stuff and I'm not going to get into politics because it's a lose-lose on Twitter. You can say on Twitter, you can say the most logical thing. And for some odd reason, there's a group of like people who will hate you for it. As far as Twitter's new boss, I like chaos. I like a little bit of anarchy, but most importantly, I like free speech. Right or wrong, say what you will. There's some offensive shit that can be said, but there's also some truth that can be told. So I think it's a take and give. The fact that he bought it, I think it's intriguing. It's fun to sit back and watch it happen, isn't it? And one day they'll probably make a movie about it. I like that there's at least one platform that can't filter you out. And you have to, and as people, we need to learn how to filter the shit out that we don't want to see. Like, it shouldn't be up to the platform to filter that. It should be up to you as a person. Like, okay, I don't like that, so I won't follow that. Or I don't believe in that, or I don't trust that, so let me do some research to see if it's true. I think that's what's lacking in people nowadays. No one takes the time to read beyond headlines. Like, you could put out think about this. Some guy on TikTok who has like 5 million followers could put out a fictitious headline saying whatever he wants, and 90% of his followers will believe it and then spread the false information. That's the scary thing nowadays. No one actually does the research. Anyway, yeah, it doesn't bother me either way. I don't care. I mean, I thought Twitter was a cesspool to begin with, and is it still a cesspool? Kind of, but at least, at least it's in a different toilet, I guess, this time. I don't know. All right, the next one comes from Val, who says, John, don't hate me, but Casino is superior to Goodfellas, in my opinion. Why would I hate you? I've been saying that same thing for the last 10 years. You're echoing my own opinion. I love it. Casino is a way better movie than Goodfellas. The narrative is better. The performances are better. The setting is way more intriguing. Far better movie. I think Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, his performance is not as good as in Casino. So I agree with you. Yeah, if there's a bot in here, you guys can ban it. Unfortunately, I don't see the bot on my chat here. Oh, there's a bot. Hang on. Let's get this asshole. Hang on. Okay. We might be good. Oh, there it is. Adult dating site. All right. Yeah, I find it odd how YouTube can pick up on every copyright claim, and if you use 2 seconds of an image in your video, but they can't pick up on bots repeating the same thing 37,000 times across multiple videos. Isn't that odd that we can't fix that? All right. The next one comes from Matthew Castellanos. John, what were your thoughts on the Zurg reveal in Lightyear, and did you like Lightyear? Lightyear was okay. It was slightly more subdued than I thought it would be, which I think was better. I like that it was a simple story. The thing with Zurg, I understood why they did it. They sort of went for the Star Wars-esque storytelling aspect there. And I guess it had to be somewhat relatable and have a direct effect on the character of Buzz Lightyear, because if Zurg was just some intergalactic bad guy for the sake of being bad, I think that would be sort of one note, sort of one dimensional. So I didn't hate it, but the movie itself, would I ever watch it again? Probably not. Claudia Rogajon says, American Beauty, looking back, was a weird movie and kind of questionable. Like, what the heck, honestly? Well, I mean, you can look at American Beauty and think it's creepy, but I look at it and think, wow, things like that are real. Like, things like that happen in real life often, almost too often. I can name 7 people that remind me of Kevin Spacey in American Beauty. So, yeah, you can say it's weird and deranged, but at the same time, there are people out there, like suburban people that look clean-cut and normal, that have like weird, deranged lifestyles. And I'll tell you this about humanity and people specifically. You don't really know anyone. There have been so many instances where I thought you know somebody, or you assume they have a certain type of lifestyle, and then you get to know them and you just like, whoa, I would have never guessed. So that's the way I look at American Beauty. There's always this fictitious facade when it comes to most people. And American Beauty is a great telling of that. That was a deep thought. I liked that. Now I need to make a video essay on the movie. All right. The White Skull says Michael Bay is a decent director. Michael Bay can be a decent director if he gets handed a good script and his editor doesn't allow him to be in charge of the color grading of the movie, then maybe it could be a decent movie. The next one comes from Claudia Rogajon. You should do watch party with Mr. Nice Guy. I don't know if I do a watch party with Mr. Nice Guy, but I have been meaning to do a watch party with you guys. At some point, I need to talk to somebody who does those live. I need to figure out how to, I mean, I guess it's not that complicated, is it? I just put headphones in and watch the movie and answer questions looking at a chat. I guess I could do it, right? It shouldn't be that complicated, but I do want to do a watch party. We'll just all have to start the movie at the same time, and I'll have to find a movie that is widely available on Netflix. That way everyone can watch it at the same time. Claudia Rogajon says, imagine a TMNT movie with Jackie Chan fight scenes. Yeah, please give it to me. Yes. Make Jackie Chan like the human character in the movie. Make Jackie Chan Master Splinter. Hey, just putting it out there. I'd like that. The Rat Party. How's it going, the Rat Party? And thanks for the super chat here. Here we go. Hey, John. Have you seen the movie Rogue? It's basically Jaws, but with a crocodile set in the outback of Australia. Also, Sam Worthington gets eaten if that makes you want to watch it. Ooh. That should be the prequel of how his character in Avatar lost his legs. They were eaten off by a giant crocodile. I have not seen Rogue. Wasn't there just another crocodile or I'm sorry, an alligator movie that came out like 2 years ago that was sort of like Jaws? I watched 7 minutes of it and I was like, why would I watch this? I'd rather just watch Jaws. I have not seen it though. I have not seen it, man. Also, that reminds me of the movie Lake Placid, which came out in 1999, about a very large alligator who lives in a lake. With Oliver Platt. The next one comes from Night King 01. It's not better than Rumble in the Bronx, but Mr. Villain in Mr. Nice Guy is so over the top, it's incredible. Check out the Warner Archive version. Okay, I'll look into this. You're selling me now, but I wish you would have said it's better than Rumble in the Bronx. Claudia also says, make the guy who played Scorpion Shredder as well. Oh, that would be the guy who played Scorpion in the new Mortal Kombat movie? Yeah. If you wanted to make a legitimate Shredder, like a serious take, I could see him being Shredder. He does seem villainous and badass. Yeah, I could dig that. Tony Scott and Michael Bay are the same person. They're not the same person. Tony Scott was a slightly more competent storyteller. But they both shared very similar visual styles. Like nauseating visual styles. In a weird way, I will say Tony Scott was sort of like the Michael Bay in the 1980s, if you really think about it. I mean, most of Tony Scott's movies in the 80s had very little storytelling, very little substance, and a lot of like vivid, visually like over saturated scenes. I mean, look at movies like Days of Thunder. Tom Cruise, he drives a race car. And then he can't drive a race car, and then he drives a race car again. Look at movies like Top Gun. There's hardly a story there. It's just fucking dudes in oil flying around in jets. Like, that's all it is. Let's not put it on some other shelf that it shouldn't be on. That's what that movie is. There's no story in Top Gun. So I'm just saying, Tony Scott was sort of like the original Michael Bay. I do agree with that. Shut Up Cat Production says, you were supposed to say New York 3 times fast. You skipped some of my questions, like favorite car, are we best friends, would you be okay with an OnlyFans, make men again. Who are you? My favorite car? I'll just pick that one out of the lineup of glorious questions you have there. What my favorite car, like in a movie or in real life? That really depends. I've always, since I was a kid, wanted an H1 Humvee. It's like a militarized vehicle. And I remember seeing the movie The Rock, directed by Michael Bay. Here you go. Here's a Michael Bay movie. I remember seeing the movie The Rock, and in the car chase sequence in the beginning, Sean Connery is driving a giant black Humvee SUV being chased by Nicolas Cage. in a Ferrari. And ever since that movie, I always wanted the Humvee. So that's my favorite like movie car, like real movie car. Now, if I could pick any movie car, I'm picking either the DeLorean or the Tumbler from Batman. Claudia Rogajon says the guy who played Scorpion was wasted. Good actor. I mean, everything was wasted in the Mortal Kombat movie, the new Mortal Kombat movie. Night King 1 says it's almost on the level of Rumble in the Bronx. Okay, all right, you pushed me over the edge there. Seth Hall says you said earlier you would probably not do another collaboration with Stuckman. Was there falling out or just different places in life? All right, guys, I answer this on every live show, and I get that you can't watch every live show. I mean, I get it. Some of them are 2 hours long. There's 50 of them or 100 of them at this point. We just went different directions. I just think Stuckman is so hyper-focused and has tunnel vision on what he wants to do and his goals. Unless you fit into those goals or those achievements or whatever he's trying to go or whatever he's trying to accomplish in life on that journey, that destination that he's going on, unless you can help him or propel him to that destination, he doesn't really care. So do we occasionally still communicate? Messaging? Yes, we do. If I reached out to him and said, hey, do you want to talk or what's up with this? Would he respond? Yes. But it's very distant. You know, it's like a distant friendship, you know? And sometimes in life, at some point at points in life, you have a lot in common and then you kind of go different directions and then people change. They change a little bit and they go over here and they do their own thing and you can see the change. You see the writing on the wall and you go, oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. But like, I don't necessarily need to partake, you know? So I hope that was a sufficient answer for you. No, there was no falling out. It's just, you grow apart, you know, and that's okay. Okay, let's go to the next one. B-Force Gaming says, I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The menus on 4K with all the classic TVs. Are you aware of what I'm talking about? Yes, I have watched the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 4K menu for about an hour straight one day because it was playing in the background and I was doing something else. And the song kept playing KB Radio TV, like that whole thing. Yes, I know what you're talking about. I like it. Yes, it's catchy. I just wish the loop didn't repeat itself every 30 seconds. But I do like the music. It's very catchy. Team Flickinger. Thanks for that, man. I'll take it. Listen, I like to say I've stayed humble, I've stayed down to earth, and I like to think I'm accessible to some degree. You know, that's what I'm going for here. All right, the next one comes from Oh, see you again plays in the distance. That's good. That's good. All right. The next one comes from Night King 01. One of the dumbest things I've heard is when Critical Drinker said Iceman is one of the best movie villains in cinema. He's in 3 scenes, laugh out loud. I don't know. Maybe he had some kind of sarcasm when he said that. Are you sure he wasn't being sarcastic? I would assume he was being sarcastic. Have you? Means. Shut up, Surrey. Have you ever seen Spielberg's Munich? Yes, I have. A really good movie. Not the most rewatchable Spielberg movie, but I have seen it. I did enjoy it. The other Spielberg movie that I want to see is the Fabelmans, which is out right now, and I've been meaning to see it, but I just haven't. Have you guys seen the movie yet? Is it any good? You're taking V for Vendetta. Love it. One of the best underrated comic book movies of all time. I remember skipping school to go see it. The scene where it's revealed that Natalie Portman was actually kidnapped by V and he was testing her, I was like, ooh, that was good. But then it makes me question when she was getting her hair cut, was he wearing a mask or she just didn't make eye contact with him or what was happening there? But either way, great movie. John, I just rewatched your 2012 Black Friday video. Well, thank you for that. I vaguely remember making that. Yes. I remember that video now. Yeah, I opened up my garage door with a Jedi power and did something else. I'm wearing a red plaid shirt. Um, and by the way, guys, I do read the normal chat over here. So if you guys have good questions, post them in the normal chat. I read them. Sometimes but I try to answer questions over there that I've never answered. So if you have a juicy question, post it. Bob and KC has become a member. Thanks, Bob. Yay! Okay, the next one comes from a lot of Stuckman talk over here in the chat. I am reading it. I do see it. I could contribute to some of it, but I don't. People always take everything out of context, so. Oh, I bought Ben-Hur on Sucker Punch in 2012. Yeah, that Ben-Hur set I bought on Black Friday in 2012 was a nice, sexy set for like $10. And then you could buy it and like resell it for like $50 or something. I did keep one of them for like 5 years and then I got rid of it because I didn't want a big box this large of Ben-Hur. But I do remember that. Phasal H says, would you consider doing a full movie reaction for movies you haven't seen before? I see lots of channels are doing it without getting a copyright. You want me just to sit there and watch the whole movie? Like a reaction of the entire movie? Whew. And not show any of it? I don't know about that. And also, if I've never seen a movie for the first time, I don't think I would want to watch it being recorded and like having to react to it. Because to keep it real with you, I don't really overreact to things in real life. I know that's what you're supposed to do on YouTube. Like, whoa! But when I watch a movie, I just, I might grin or smile, but I don't think I'll scream to make an entertaining reaction video. I mean, it's not a bad idea if I could pull it off logistically. Yeaman John says, thoughts on Tarantino saying the MCU actors are not movie stars and MCU directors are just hired hands. I did talk about that earlier. I talked about that for like 5 minutes if you want to scroll back. But essentially, he makes a good point to a certain, like, 9-year-old kids don't go to see Thor because Chris Hemsworth, the name and the title. So to a certain degree, yes. But do I also, could you see anyone else playing Thor besides Chris Hemsworth? No, he's a movie star, but the MCU is more about like the character itself, So I do agree with what he was saying. Movie stars are sort of dying. The trend of movie stars in Hollywood are sort of fading away. Avery A says, John, why is Googling your symptoms the most terrifying ever? Well, whenever you Google your symptoms, you either have the common cold or you're going to die tomorrow. Those are the only two options. So really, when you Google them, it's a flip of the coin. Okay, I'm going to die or I'm going to live. That's why. Trust me, I've been on some rabbit holes of Googling symptoms. I'm like, what is that rash? And it turns out it's not even a rash. It's just my arm was on the chair too long, so it turns red. Chris says, the live stream is what I needed to get me through the week. Thank you. Hey, it's what I needed to get me through the night. So thanks for joining me, man. MKF30 says, ever consider being an announcer? Your voice reminds me of the WWE guy who says, let's get ready to rumble. Whenever you say the next one comes from. Oh, yes. No. I never considered it, but I don't think I could remember all the stats that they do whenever someone's walking down the ring. I think I would forget. And weighing in at 228 something pounds. Like, that's the way I would do it. From I don't remember. I do like to try to do a shitty movie trailer announcer voice sometimes in videos. Like, whenever I get to narrate something in a video and my face isn't on the screen, I like to do like a shitty movie trailer announcer voice. It's my go-to. Let's see here. Trying to catch up on the questions. Let's see. I feel like real rejects are actors now. I mean, listen, the thing is, if you have an audience, you have to cater to them. And people who click on reaction videos want overreactions. I mean, that's just, if you're going to watch a reaction video, you want an overreaction. Some people want a normal reaction, but I think they've sort of put themselves in a situation where if they don't overexpress everything they're seeing visually, then it's not going to fulfill their hardcore fan base. So I get where they're coming from. I mean, you got to make your viewers happy, but it's just, there's things I've done in the past and I got tired of doing them, so I don't do them anymore. And there's things I've done that I know I could do and I'd get more attention and more views. I know what to do, I just don't do them. Like, I just can't at this point in my life do it anymore. So, but I get it though, Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, says, I love when you rode the tricycle in Walmart with the Shining music. How did you enjoy The Shining? You're my favorite movie guy. Here's Johnny. Thanks for that, man. The original Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick, I enjoy it. But it's never been one of those movies where I'm like, oh, I got to go watch that once a year. It was one of those movies like you watch once or twice and you can appreciate the quality of cinema that it is, the performances given by Jack Nicholson in that film. But it's definitely not like one of those highly rewatchable movies for me. It never has been. Obed Arzaga says, favorite rapper turned actor. Fucking Ice Cube. I don't know. Eminem in 8 Mile, I thought did a good job. Ice Cube, though, I mean, Ice Cube, I would say, has like this likability about him. I mean, he hasn't been in a lot of the greatest movies of all time, but like if I just had to like go to like something like Friday, he had like this likability about him, and he seems like a likable dude who's down to earth. So maybe Ice Cube, unless there's another rapper who became an actor who's really good. I'm sure there's somebody out there. Did you guys ever see the Vanilla Ice movie? I remember watching that as a kid. You'll never get a true reaction if it's being filmed. That is the truth. You will not. JJ Bear says, who was the best looking Toy Story character? Oh man, that's a deep question. I mean, technically, you got to go with Barbie and Toy Story 3 or Little Bo Peep. I don't know. What do you mean by that exactly? Woody. Because he can put a snake in my boots anytime. Okay, let's keep going. Someone poisoned the water hole. Bucketeer says, hey, Johnny baby, Mo Money is hilarious. I remember watching Mo Money on repeat as a kid. That's a great movie. Go watch Mo Money. It's actually not bad. Vanilla Ice was shit. Yeah, but he had a catchy one-hit wonder song going for him. All right, let's answer a few more questions here, and I'll wrap up this live show. Let's see. I'm just going to the normal chat, or if you guys are channel members or whatever, feel free to chime in on the normal chat over here. Give me a slew of questions to go through. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you guys. I'm still waiting. You'll never understand cinema, Halloween Ends fans. Yeah. It baffles me how some people can like certain movies, and it's like, I get it, man, but it scares me at the same time. Like, if you like a guilty pleasure movie that's entertaining, I like understand. But if you like something that's just boring and tedious to get through, I'm like, who are you? Dumb and Dumber, the best comedy ever. I wouldn't say it's the best comedy ever, but it's definitely one of the best mid-90s comedies. Boys in the Hood, Juice, Menace to Society are all great hood flicks. Yeah, I call those urban culture films, and I love them. I really do. I've always been drawn to them. I enjoy that stuff. Boys in the Hood, phenomenal. I got to meet Morris Chestnut, a nice guy. Juice was not one of my favorites, actually, but Menace to Society, oh, that's some good stuff, man. That movie scares me. Like, I'm just like, the scene where the one kid gets shot and he's like on the ground bleeding out on the road, and what's his name? What's his like K-Dog or whatever? He's like that's gonna have to wait for another day, and he's like, get in the car, and they drive away. It's like unintentionally hilarious to me. He's like, oh, we're just gonna wait another day for that. It's like this dude's dying on the street. I don't know. I love it. That's a great movie. And the thing about those films are they're well made. Like, they're well crafted. They don't look like some crappy music video. Like, they look like competent filmmakers made those movies. They look like cinema. And I think that's why they're like, I've always been drawn to them. And they're like gritty, grounded stories, which is another thing that I'm always drawn to in movies. Yeaman John says, thoughts on Tarantino considering 1950s/1980s and nowadays worst decades for movies. 1970s, 1990s, absolute pinnacle of movies. Yeah, he makes a good point. I don't think, well, I get why he doesn't like the 1980s because they were very surface level, happy-go-lucky, consumable movies to a certain degree. But for me, I like those because they did that in such a way that you couldn't replicate it today. Like, you couldn't replicate a John Hughes movie and make it special the way John Hughes did. But I get how they were like surface level to Tarantino. I do understand that. Nowadays, yes, we're living in one of the worst time periods for big blockbuster movies. Like, the charm, the craftsmanship, the charismatic actors that you used to have in those big movies, like, it just feels like bland. Everything feels so bland and regurgitated to today. So I in some ways I do agree with what he's saying, but yeah, you'll never have it like you did in the 90s, man. You'll never get that many movies coming out consistently that are just like banger after banger. All right, let me take another drink of this. Faisal H says, is there a movie with your Blu-ray collection you haven't seen before, and do you still receive fan mail stuff? I don't have a P.O. box to receive fan mail, so currently I do not. I would like to set it up once again. Is there movies in my collection I haven't seen? Yeah, there's probably a handful of movies back there that are still in the plastic I have not watched. To have me pick one off the top of my head to remember, I don't know. I'm sure there's something back there. If I went back there and looked for 5 minutes, I would probably find a movie in my collection I have not watched yet that I've never seen, but I bought it with the intention of watching it. I just haven't. But off the top of my head, I'm sorry, I can't. My brain can't go there right now. But I do want to thank all 339 of you watching right now. And thanks for the question, Faisal. All right. Claudia Rojan says, who's better, Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society? I think Boys in the Hood is the better movie, technically speaking. I think it's the more iconic, timeless movie of the two. Nico Lord says, that's why the adult entertainment industry is skyrocketing, such as John. Thank you for that. The White Skull says, Black Adam is an example of what Quentin Tarantino was saying. Yeah, absolutely. Black Adam is a great prime example of that. It's like bland comic book movie cliche. It's like, what are you going to remember from Black Adam in 20 years? Nothing. Nothing. You're not going to remember anything. You're not going to remember anything from the movie next year. That's the problem with modern day movies. They're not made to be rememberable. They're not made to make you feel something. They're made as content to give you something to do for 2 hours. Then you instantaneously forget what that movie was about and go on with your life until you consume the next bit of content pooped out into your eyeballs. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Shut Up Cat Productions says, and I didn't skip your super chat, I just hadn't got to it yet. Shut Up Cat Productions says, enough about Michael Bay. I bet you $1 million if I joined you live and talked to your viewers would skyrocket. I'll LGDM you, you'll see who I be. Okay, send me a DM on Twitter, man. Let me know. Who is someone that doesn't have a biopic that you think should have one? Oh, man. I think one day Elon Musk might have one. He's just too interesting not to. But who is someone that doesn't? I think Arnold I think he has like a shitty biopic, I think, but Arnold Schwarzenegger should have one at some point in life. I think that would be interesting to see. That's someone I would be intrigued by, because he just has he has one of the most fascinating life stories of all time that's all encompassing of so many different things. It feels like that man has lived 5 different lives. And if I had 5 different lives to live, I don't think I could accomplish as much as he did. So yeah, you only get one. And yeah, so maybe that. I'm trying to think of someone else that would be intriguing, but not off the top of my head. The Superman scene in Black Adam, I mean, I guess he shows up. Hi, I'm here now. I mean, okay. Cool. How about we make a sequel? I mean, it was cool, but it just felt tacked on. Zespi Cinema says... okay, here we go. Zespi Cinema says, John, I've been watching you since 2012. I'm now 22. Your vlogs were my childhood. My question is, will you get Letterboxd? I had a Letterboxd one time for like 10 minutes, and I was like going through it, using it. I was like, I don't have the energy to go through and rate everything I've seen and then go on there to talk about everything I am seeing. So what I would rather do than that is just make more YouTube shorts in the future and use those as like a quick reaction / movie review for everything. So that's my goal next year, is to start making more YouTube shorts for everything that I don't want to do a video on, but I can do a quick 60-second video to give you guys my quick thoughts. I will do a YouTube short. So in a way, that'll be like my Letterboxd. You want my thoughts on this movie? Here it is. Every time I watch an older movie, I'll do a quick YouTube short video. So that's my plan for next year, to make way more of those and essentially just make an archive of all these videos and all these quick reviews and reactions to stuff I would never take the time to make a full-fledged YouTube video for. Night King 01 says, speaking of V for Vendetta, that movie has subtly... Wait. Oh, speaking of V for Vendetta, that movie has the subtlety of a sledgehammer with its message. The comic is better. The movie is too clean, still fun. I mean, I guess it could be grittier to a certain degree, and maybe it is a little on the nose, but then again, isn't V for Vendetta very reminiscent of the shit happening in humanity, especially around the year of 2020? Just putting it out there. A lot of similarities between that and V for Vendetta. Just saying. Kind of eerily similar things going on. Claudia Rogajon says, Black Adam in the comics disagreed on how his son used Shazam's powers, so he killed him and took part of it to do it himself. Dark stuff. Yeah, the thing about The Rock playing Black Adam is he wanted to be a super likable anti-hero, and if you actually go the route of who Black Adam actually is, he's not all that likable. But then again, that's what they should have done to separate him, but The Rock would never agree to that because he has a brand to keep up with. So that's why we got sort of a mediocre, watered down version of Black Adam, because The Rock wanted to be likable. But here's what I say. Cast someone else besides The Rock. So that you would have a way darker, edgier movie that people would be talking about. And now, guess what? No one's talking about that shit. Faisal H says, out of curiosity, how much is your internet bill? It's like $100, and then my phone bill is like $120. So it's like, it's overpriced shit. It's like, I don't understand how they charge you $100 to plug something into your computer just for like digital signals to go through it that were already going through the same wire, but now it's just plugged into something. It's bizarre, isn't it? So overpriced. Shut Up Cat Production says, thanks for not skipping me. I don't have Twitter. I just Instagrammed you. Hope $30 served you well. Merry Christmas. I'm Batman. Man, thanks, Shut Up Cat Productions. Thank you for that, man. Very generous. You have the most obscene questions I've ever read, but nevertheless, I enjoy reading them. Thank you for that, man. I'll look at that DM in a minute. I'm scared to look at it. Yemen John says, Evil Knievel biopic should be interesting. I could see a cool Evil Knievel biopic. I could see that being good. Didn't they already have that, or is somebody starring in that? That could be a cool movie. I mean, and the thing is with the Evil Knievel biopic, it would be pretty awesome if they could actually do a live recreation of some of his stunts, or maybe they actually just show that, you know what, to be respectful to Evel Knievel, if you did do a biopic, I think the best thing to do is whenever it shows the sequence or shows him his stunt jumping over like 20 school buses, they actually just use the original footage. They don't try to recreate it. They just show that original footage, because I don't think you could top it. Like maybe you could remaster the footage to make it look cleaner and newer, but that could be cool. Claudia Rose says Black Adam is a Shazam villain normally. Yes, I'm very aware of that. Yeah, but they had to make him likable. You got to make The Rock likable at all times. Are you surprised the Liver King was caught using steroids? No, I was not. If you could look at that guy's belly and tell he wasn't on human growth hormones, you're insane. Okay, I'm gonna answer just 3 more questions. So please, guys, no more questions, or at least no more super chats, because I don't want to miss them. If you guys want to chime in on the normal chat, I'll try to get to as many questions as I can for like the next 2 minutes. I know I said I was going to go 2 minutes ago, but I like you guys too much. So here we go. 1901 says, yeah, but V for Vendetta, the comic book, is about fascism and anarchy. Sorry, this is going really quick. It's not a good guy in the comic books. That's why he picks Eve, because she's nonviolent. The movie is like, screw that, violence is cool. I disagree with you. I think the overall message was correct in V for Vendetta. I didn't read the comics, but I mean, I sort of everything you just said was in the movie. I don't get what the problem was. Am I missing something? I get maybe not to an extreme that maybe you wanted it, or maybe they try to make everyone too much of an archetype character, like you're good, I'm good, he's bad. Maybe you wanted V to be a little bit more flawed than he is, but then again, I thought he was sort of like a flawed guy. I don't know what you're saying there. Claudia Rojan says, Rock said Adam is gonna fight Superman. Why though? Yeah, it's like, no, I don't care. I don't want to see that. I'd rather see Superman fight anyone else. I don't care to see him fight Shazam. I don't want to see Superman fight The Rock. That's what I feel like when I watch Shazam. I'm good. I don't care. I'd rather watch Superman go off and do his own thing and another story, and let's have a nice Man of Steel sequel. Let's just do that. I don't need The Rock in here. B-Force Gaming says, do the comparison of Pulp Fiction video, please. That would be fascinating to see how HBO Max, Blu-ray, and the 4K will compare. Yeah, that's a good idea, man. If I can somehow put something together in the next 2 days to do that. When's this come out? December 6th? Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you what. If you don't see that video by December 6th, then it's not happening. But I will put that on the to-do list this week. Maybe I can do something like that. That would be fun to do. I would like to start doing more Blu-ray reviews. I would like to. So yeah. Because let's face it, there's not many great new movies to talk about that often. But thanks for the question in the super chat, man. Yeaman John says, Tarantino said the MCU actors are not movie stars. I talked about this 2 times already in the live show. I know he did. I listened to the podcast. And in a way, he's not saying that they're not good actors. He's saying that when you market a film, especially an MCU film, having Chris Hemsworth's name above Thor doesn't matter to the 10-year-olds going to see it. They just want to see Thor. So the fact that Chris Hemsworth is going to be in another movie later on, the fact that the kids saw him as Thor, they don't give a shit about him as Chris Hemsworth, typically speaking. I think that was the point he was trying to make. 1901 says, we're still talking about V for Vendetta? Come on, man. V is very flawed in the books. He's also not Neo. Also, the villains aren't as cartoonish and evil. The book has more depth, is what I'm saying. Okay, I get that it has more depth. I don't know. V for me in the movie of V from Vendetta seemed like a flawed dude. I mean, he locked up Natalie Portman for months in solitary confinement and shaved her head to see if he could trust her, and also to awaken her and make her tough. So in a weird way, the ends justified the means. And I like characters like that. So I think he was flawed. I'm going to disagree with you. Claudio also says, what, he even going to fight Superman over he good guy? Oh, yes. I get what you're saying. Why would Shazam and Superman fight? Yeah, it's like a simple sentence of communicating our thoughts and feelings would solve all of these problems, but we have to punch each other for the next 2 hours until we resolve our issues and realize that we're fighting for the same cause over a simple misunderstanding. And that's what it's going to be. We know that. The next one comes from Bald Natalie was hot. I mean, shaved head Natalie Portman. It wasn't hard to look at. Are you excited for the Super Mario Bros. Movie? Yes and no. Like, yeah, I want to see it. I'm a big fan of Super Mario Brothers, the game. It was my life growing up. I'm sort of excited to see the movie. But you know what? I would have loved to have seen a live action motion capture version of Super Mario Brothers. That's what I would like to see. And I know that would be creepy as shit, but also in a weird way, it would be like amazing to look at. That's what I would like to have seen. Like, have like Robert Zemeckis direct it. But either way, I'm excited to see it. It looks like they're getting it right. Shut Up Cat Production says, who cares what rich people cry about? Please. I don't know what that's a reference to, but yes, I agree. Yeah, there's a new trailer out for it. I didn't watch it. John, the whole Batman / Patrick Bateman / Ryan Gosling thing took off on TikTok 6 years later after you basically introduced it. What do you mean by that? What do you specifically mean by that comment? Now I want to watch Leon the Professional. Yeah, me and you both. Rebel Rock says, rank these directors in order of your personal preference: Nolan, Tarantino, Scorsese, and Denis Villeneuve. It depends. It really depends, man. I'm probably going to go... I like them. Some of them have movies I love, and some of them have movies I don't care about. But right now, currently, that's tough to say, because I'm factoring in filmography and current projects and what they're doing. I'll just put it like this: who gets me most excited when they make a new movie? Tarantino, honestly. Then maybe. Then Scorsese, then Nolan, then Denis Villeneuve. I always mispronounce his last name. Please forgive me. Yeah, but it's hard to rank those. Like, the one that gives me the least hope sometimes nowadays is Nolan. Like, I'm always on the fence about Nolan nowadays. Which is the absolute worst video game movie ever? I thought you were going to talk about the worst video game, and that's Superman N64. The worst video game movie ever? Well, the biggest letdown for me was Mortal Kombat Annihilation, because I loved the first one so much, and then I watched Annihilation. I was like, wait, no, this isn't real. Like, this isn't a real movie. I thought it was like a cheap, like, knockoff movie they made in Russia, and that's what it feels like. Elliot Cecil says, just saw The Fablemans. It hit home emotionally. That's good to hear. I want to go see that. I'd love to go see it right now if there was a late showtime, but there's not. That's good to hear, though. Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, says, did you like Glengarry Glen Ross? Put the coffee down. Coffee's for closers. ABC, always be closing. Yeah, I love Glengarry Glen Ross. I love movies based on stage plays, typically speaking, which is odd to say, but I just love movies about people selling things and marketing, and dudes who will do whatever it takes to get the sale. Like movies like Boiler Room. If you've never seen the movie Boiler Room, go check it out. It's sort of like Glengarry Glen Ross for a newer generation. Okay, answered that. Okay. I think we're to wrap up. We got one more question here, and this is the last question because I'm running out of energy and I'm about to pass out. I love the original TMNT movies. My dream would be to direct a sequel to those with practical costumes and just lean heavily into the 90s nostalgia with no CGI. It's beginning to turn me off if a movie has a ton of CG in it. I agree with you because what's happening is there's a reliance on that CG rather than storytelling. But like I said earlier, if they made a practical effects TMNT movie, oh my God, that would, with the 90s nostalgia at this point, box office gold. Phenomenal. Or here's an idea. Netflix, because I know Netflix watches all my videos and they take all my ideas. But Netflix or whoever, not Disney Plus, make a practical effects, gritty, set in the 1990s, TMNT 10-part series. There you go. Imagine what you could do with that. Imagine the possibilities. Imagine all the villains you could introduce into it. You could have tons of fun with that. That would be a phenomenal. That could be like, and keep it like Stranger Things. Have like that Stranger Things like quality to it. That's what I would like to see. There you go. There's a $1 million idea, $1 billion idea. There you go. John, are any of your bones cracking in your old age? Yeah, I'm getting old as shit every day. I wake up every day with low back pain and sciatic nerve damage. So my life some days isn't that fun, but once I get up and start moving around, I feel better. But yeah, getting old, I can feel it every day. Don't take these boyhood likes and charm. Take that at face value. I'm getting old as shit. I'm getting too old for this shit. All right, guys, I think I'll wrap it up there because I am getting too old for this shit, and it's past my bedtime. That's not true, but I do want to go sit down and eat something. I'm not sure yet, and drink a Diet Dr. Pepper. Oh, that sounds glorious. So as always, guys, I want to say thank you guys for watching the live show, participating with your great magical and mystical questions. Big thanks to the super chats, guys, and thank you so much for that. But you know what? Just thanks for watching. I just need you guys to watch these. That's all I hope for. That's all I need. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys again very soon. And maybe a review of Glass Onion in like the next 2 days, maybe. Trying to build up the mojo to talk about it. But as always, stay safe. Have a good night. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.